Hi, I'm Chris Anderson. I'll be your English teacher today, and today we're going to be talking about the future. So, to start, I'd like you to think about your future. What are your plans after this lesson? What are your plans tomorrow? What are your plans next week? What are your life plans? Maybe you don't like making plans particularly, you prefer being spontaneous. Now, how do we talk about future plans in the English language? It's been my experience that students like to use will. They use will for next week, will for the future plan, will for a future prediction. They use will too often. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with will, but I think it's a question of accuracy. And hopefully, one of the reasons you're here is to make your English a bit more natural, but also more accurate. So, let's talk about will. How do we use will? Well, we use will to make a prediction. That is to say, we are not very certain about what it is we're doing in the future. For example, I think I will go to the party. There is a good chance this person will go, but who knows? Maybe it'll change. Maybe this situation will be different. In the same way, in the negative, when we use will in the negative form, will becomes will not. But in terms of spoken English, you don't often really hear will not used that often. Instead, we would use won't. Now, I think I won't go, I'm too tired. So at the moment, when this speaker said this, they sort of decided, do you know what, I'm too tired to go to this party. But who knows? Maybe they'll go home, they'll have a shower, a coffee, and they'll decide, actually, I do want to go to this party. Now, will by itself is not the most certain grammatical structure regarding the future. To make it stronger, we can do two things. We can use definitely and probably. Definitely is stronger than the two. So for example, I will definitely see you later. Very strong probability, very certain that you are going to see your friend later that day. Alternatively, I'll probably see you later, still very certain, but not as certain as definitely. We can use definitely and probably in negative sentences. And the thing to watch out for here is the change in the word order. So as you can see here, I definitely won't in comparison with I will definitely. So the word order is different in negative sentences. And it's exactly the same with probably. So I probably won't versus I will probably. Now, let's just check the meaning. I definitely won't go on a date with you. There is no chance this person is going on a date with you. I probably won't go for a drink with you. Less chance, but still very unlikely. So, we've been using will to describe the future in terms of predictions. Will is still pretty certain. These things will happen, meaning our intention when we said it was to do it. However, if we really are not sure what we're going to be doing in the future, 50-50 let's say, we would use might. For example, I might go to the cinema tonight. Now the thing to remember when you're using might, you are really saying I might or I might not do this. Literally 50-50. So when you're not certain about anything at all in the future, might is the thing to use. Now, in terms of plans, actual plans that you've made in the present, the grammatical structure to really use is going to. Now, when I say a plan, this is something that I have decided recently and I'm pretty certain is going to happen. That is not to say plans can't change, because I'm sure as you all know, the world is strange and plans do change. However, I am going to go to the theatre on Friday. That says to me this person has been thinking about going and will probably buy the tickets quite soon. They won't have bought the tickets yet, but there's a strong possibility they're going to a trip to the theatre. Now in terms of the negative, quite simple, we change the verb. He isn't going to drink beer this week. That is to say his plan, when he said this, on Sunday night probably, is not to drink beer this week. Now who knows, Thursday night, Friday night will come along and he will decide, actually, do you know what, I will. But for now, his plan, because he's used going to, is not to drink any beer. Now, one unusual element of English when we're talking about the future is the use of the present continuous. Now really, it's important to consider the present continuous and going to together. We use going to for plans made around now, and we use the present continuous for arrangements. Now, the difference between a plan and an arrangement is not always black and white. However, things that can help you to remember the difference are, for example, an arrangement is stronger. You have bought the tickets. You've planned this for a long time. It's with a family member. In the same way, a plan, you can cancel a plan and it's not a massive problem for anybody involved. An arrangement is difficult to plan. For example, I'm meeting my mother in the city centre at 7:30. Present continuous is better here. This is definitely an arrangement. We have a time, 7:30, we have a place. Also, you're meeting your mother. Now, if you plan to meet your mother, probably one thing you don't want to do is cancel that meeting. In the same way, we are watching the band tomorrow at the stadium. Now, this would suggest to me tickets have been bought. Tickets have been bought because it's an arrangement with friends, and again, you've got the time and the place. If we ever look at going to the theatre on Friday, well, maybe the tickets will be sold out. Maybe you decide you don't want to go to the theatre. Whereas by using the present continuous to describe arrangements in the future, you're describing your plans in a much, much stronger way. So, the final aspect of talking about future plans, and is in many ways the strongest, is when we use the present simple. Now, it's the strongest because we use the present simple to make future plans when it's timetabled or scheduled. For example, the plane arrives at 5 o'clock. This is the scheduled time for the plane. It's unlikely to change, although it could, but generally speaking, we use present simple here. The lesson always starts at 19:30. So again, this is a timetabled event in the future. The time is certain to everybody involved, so we use the present simple. Now we can see here, we've got some examples of future questions. So for example, are you going to clean the fridge? Have you made the plan recently to clean the fridge in the future? What are you going to do tomorrow? Have you made any plans recently about tomorrow? Will you turn the music off? So again, here we're less certain here. Remember, will is a little bit weaker in terms of certainty than going to, and we're asking somebody to make the decision now about the future. When will you send me an email? Again, I predict that you will do this soon, so please could you? Who are you meeting in the park later? As in, have you made an arrangement? Have you got a strong plan about meeting somebody in the park later? Now, something to remember, when you're asked a question which has a certain grammatical form in it, you don't have to answer with the same grammatical form. That is to say, if somebody asks you, are you going to clean the fridge? You could answer with will, you could answer with might, you could even answer with present continuous if you had made an arrangement about cleaning the fridge. So it's really, really up to you, depending on your actual future plans. What's most accurate from your point of view? So, to summarize, so far, we've looked at all the forms of describing the future in English. We've looked at will, we've looked at the negative won't, we also looked at how to make will stronger with definitely and probably. Then we looked at sort of going to in terms of making future plans around now and how that's stronger. We also looked at might and how might is used in terms of 50-50 when we're really, really uncertain about the future. We spent a bit of time describing the difference between a plan and an arrangement and how when we make an arrangement, which is stronger than a plan, we use the present continuous. And then finally, we spent some time looking at scheduled and timetabled events in the future and how we use the present simple there, as well as looking at question forms containing future forms grammatically. So, to check that you've understood all of the information in this lesson, you can now take the exercises which always follow this video. Good luck!